folks, welcome back to Rule of Thumb. It's been a minute. There's been a lot going on, as you are all well aware, so we've been taking a little time to settle in and adjust to a new way of life, so I haven't really been making videos. But I've been home now for a couple weeks, and as you can imagine, I'm starting to get a little stir crazy, as I'm sure a lot of people are. So I thought, oh, how about a fun project, something that's a little maybe indulgent, because we are, of course, trying to conserve and, make sure that we are using food wisely, not spending money in a wasteful way. But once in a while, you've got to treat yourself. So I had a recipe that I've been wanting to try for a while, and I thought, no time like the present. So today I'm going to bring you along as I make Chinese plum sauce. There are some different ingredients in this. Everything is readily available online or in most major grocery stores if you can get to them or if you feel comfortable getting to them. Otherwise, put this recipe in your back pocket and make it once we return to the new normal. So I'm going to turn you around, show you what I'm working with, tell you what we're going to do, and we'll move on from there. Okay, folks, we're back. So we got a bunch of stuff here. I am getting this from, I should have shown you this when I was in the other view, but I'll pop it in here, from this book, which I have talked to you folks about. It is Canning for a New Generation. This is the updated and expanded edition, and it is on page 156. So this is what we got. In my cheesecloth here, can you folks see that? Let's move this down here. Make sure you can see everything. Okay, so what I have in there is I have a cinnamon stick, it calls for 2 pieces of star anise, which I could not find and did not have, but I went online and it said you can substitute anise seed, just use twice as much. So I have roughly 2 teaspoons of anise seed in there, a half a teaspoon of whole black peppercorns, and a half a teaspoon of fennel seeds. So what I'm going to do is basically create a little spice bag here. So you can just cut some cheesecloth like so and bundle it up. Make sure you folks can see that. And then I just trimmed a little piece of cheesecloth off to use as my tie. And we'll just go around here. You could do this with kitchen twine as well if you wanted, but I just used what I had handy. So then you end up with a little spice bag like that. That goes in the pot. Alright, so then I have here 1 1/4 cups packed brown sugar or more to taste. So I'm going to start with that. I have got a 1/4 cup of chopped, peeled fresh ginger. I had some ginger paste, so I used that. 4 cloves of garlic. I also had pasted garlic. I used that. And a half teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. I'll grab my spatula here. Get that in. Make sure you get everything in the pot. Okay. I've got 1 medium chopped onion. That. I've got a half a cup of pitted prunes. Those are going to go in there. I have got a half a cup of rice vinegar and 3 tablespoons of dark soy sauce. Put that in there. Now it says in the recipe that later on we'll be able to add more soy or brown sugar if needed, because it says that the sauce should be quite sweet and salty. So, but we're going to start with what they started with. And then the last thing is 8 cups of plums. So all I did was ran a knife around them, twisted them, and pulled the pit out and chopped them up. And those are all going in the pan. And from here, what we're going to do, we're going to bring the spice bag up to the top so it doesn't, you know, burn on the bottom. We're just going to kick the heat on, and we're going to bring this up to a boil. And then we're going to lower the heat and simmer it until the onions are very soft. Basically, everything in the pot will be very soft. It says it's going to be about 30 minutes. And I will bring you back at that point to show you what we're working with. Okay, folks, welcome back. It's been about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. I'm going to go ahead and cut the heat off of this. And it says to go ahead and pull the spice bag out at this point. There's one plum that does not want to let go of that spice bag. So we're going to go ahead and take this. I got a little dish here. And then what it says to do is to go ahead and, in batches, put this in a blender and puree this up. Now you could use a blender, you could use a stick blender if you have a stick blender. You know, do what works for you. If you want to leave it chunky, you could leave it chunky, I guess, although I think you're going to want the dates and stuff to, or the prunes to blend up in there, but you know, do what works for you. I'm going to go ahead and put this in my Vitamix and blend this up, and then I will bring you folks back when I'm done with that so you can see what it looks like. Okay, folks, we're back. So you can see I have this pureed down. It is completely smooth and gorgeous. I went ahead and tasted it, and I added another 1/4 cup of brown sugar. And I added 2 heaping teaspoons of salt. Now, this I think is particular to my situation because I used a reduced sodium soy sauce. So typically soy sauce is going to add a lot of salt content to it, and this should have a, you know, lean towards the salty side. So I think because of that, that's why I had to add salt to it. But I didn't want it to be overly salty. This is going to make, it said 8 half pints, but I'm guessing it might even be a little bit more than that. So 2 teaspoons of salt, heaping as they may have been, spread out over that much space is really not that much. So it says now to bring this back to a simmer, let it simmer for another 10 minutes or so to reduce down a little bit, get any last of the, you know, water out of it. And it should darken in color a little bit, so I'm going to let this simmer for a little bit, and then I'll bring you folks back when we're ready to put it in a jar. Okay, folks, welcome back. So, we are ready to put this in jars. I have my jars staying hot in my canner over here. I'm actually using my Presto 23-quart pressure canner as a water bath canner today because my Ball electric water bath canner, the spigot on it broke, so I'm waiting for a replacement part to come. So I'm making do with what I have. So I've got a hot jar here. We're going to go ahead and get this filled up to a 1/4 inch head space, and just look at the color on this. I mean, it is extraordinary. I mean, the taste, I mean, is better than any plum sauce I've ever had, to be perfectly honest. It is just that good. So, got an extra jar over here. It's a trick I learned from my friend Heather over at the Needy Homesteader. Keeps from getting what you're canning all over the counter, because I have a tendency to do that. I'm using these fun little jars that I found at an estate sale, because they're just cute. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe this down with some vinegar, and then grab my lid lifter here. I've got lids keeping warm over here on the stove, and I'm going to go ahead and get a ring on this and get them in the canner. I'm going to bring these up to a boil, let them process. It says in the recipe for 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and let them go for 10 minutes just for the sterilization factor. And then I will turn it off, let them sit for 5 minutes, and then I'll bring them out and I'll bring you folks back to show you the finished product. Okay, sorry, I think you folks got cut off, so I brought one jar out, but I'll bring another one out for you here. I think my battery died. So, I just wanted you to see the finished product here. It is a beautiful color. The recipe made exactly, and I mean scrape the pot, exactly 8 half-pint jars. So, the recipe is spot on. But you know, it was a fun experiment. It was fun to try something new. It took my mind off of life for a little while, which is sometimes what you need. So I will put the recipe down below for you folks, or a link to the recipe or to the cookbook, one of the above or all of the above. Like I said, if you don't try it now, put it in your back pocket. Try it in the future. The flavor on it was fantastic. So I'm going to get the rest of these jars out of the canner, and I will say goodbye, and I will say I hope you folks are taking care of yourselves. I wish everybody well. Be happy, be healthy, be safe. Come back and see us soon, and as always, I hope you had a great day.